we do have some breaking news. Last week, you may remember, we did a show specifically talking about the IRS's new plan to invoke facial recognition to verify your identity. You'd have to go on to get onto your online portal. You would have to have taken a selfie and then later scanned your face to make sure you can access them, giving them a lot of database of facial recognition. We said that was an overreach, so did a lot of people, and the IRS has backed down.
They try to do something that is so outside the norm. I mean, of all government agencies, they were going to use a private company to have your facial recognition for your tax returns, for your tax documents. Understand the slippery slope that creates in our country. But you know what happened, Logan? Americans stood up and said no. Yep. We said no through the ACLJ. And people, this is one of those issues, I think, to remind people, there's not a lot that people agree on politically these days, but when the American people, they did agree on this. Both right and left said, this is wrong. And guess what happens? A big victory against the IRS without having to go to court.
No one trusts the IRS with their information or has a lot of problem with. Look, this is coming from the IRS Commissioner Charles Rettig, who made a statement yesterday, said everyone should feel comfortable with how their personal information is secured, and we are quickly pursuing short-term options that do not involve facial recognition. So pretty much admitting that they know we don't trust them with that kind of information.
This is an agency we don't believe can even self-correct. They're throwing out all these different options. Oh, we're going to use facial recognition. Remember, they said they needed 87,000 new people and $80 million new dollars in a budget. That was in Build Back Better. And the American people said, no, you don't deserve that as an agency. The tax code should be simplified. We shouldn't use technology to make it easier to file your taxes. We don't need to be using facial recognition through the IRS. It is still likely one of the most, if not the number one most feared government agency of all. Well, and for them to have that kind of data on you, like there's some kind of security, like they're the CIA, that's just un-American. It's wrong, and that database would be ripe for abuse. People realized it, and the IRS is backed down.
You spoke up. You got answers from senators from both sides. I mean, this is a senator from Ron Wyden put out a statement, said, I've long argued that Americans should not have to sacrifice their privacy for security. This is a Democrat from Oregon. The government can treat Americans with respect and dignity while protecting against fraud and identity theft. So you have these statements. We can work actually a little bit. There are a few things there that you can still, because of our work in Washington, D.C. and around the world, you can still work in a bipartisan manner on very few things, but on things like this.
Issues do come around where the right and left, if they're being honest, they may not like agreeing and speaking to each other about it, but they've got such the same privacy constitutional issues. And it used to be this way in a lot of free speech cases. It didn't matter what the speech was. People believed in free speech in America. That's not the case anymore, unfortunately. Yep. The left only believes in their speech. But on this issue, Logan, when it comes to, it had the perfect storm. It was the IRS. People don't trust them. Doesn't matter what your politics are. Yep. And a facial recognition third-party company like the IRS is in a position to manage a giant corporate third-party big tech company at a time when people have had enough with a lot of big tech companies.
Sure. To unlock your phone, a lot of people have that. I mean, that facial recognition technology, most of that, I believe, is stored actually internally. But even that, I know people have some concern about. But that's not the IRS. That's not your tax information. So there is a big move from the IRS to abandon this. And that couldn't be done without people like you who stood up to the IRS once again and said no.